What I want to share with you today is, AI is very scary, I think, for a lot of us. And if that's you, if you're not sure what this new world is, if you're either afraid or just not sure what is AI, then you're in the right place. Because that's what I want to help completely dispel a little bit tonight and give you some, hopefully, light on what's happening in AI. I've been in AI 6 months now. I was talking to, I think, Lucy, that it doesn't feel like 6 months, actually feels like 6 years because of how fast this is moving. Things are changing every single day. It's pretty wild to be in the industry and see that. So we'll talk a little bit more about what I do, but I want to start with this quote by Abraham Lincoln: "You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today." So the idea here is it's really easy to ignore this because it's scary. What do I do? How do I actually use it? How do I use it to grow my business? But if you evade it, it's going to be here. It's going to shift work forever as we know it. That's the truth. So it's time to embrace it and learn how to. So this is permission granted to explore the unexplored, because that is what AI is. It is a brand new frontier. So one of the first questions I've actually had is, what is AI? Where does this come from? Didn't land from an alien ship, right? It's a real technology. So it comes from computer science and human language, the study of linguistics. So it comes from our own words, what we say, how we write. It's the study of that. So AI comes from machine learning, which comes from all the other things, and it's a form of algorithms. It's artificial intelligence based on algorithms. And these algorithms predict the next piece of data coming. So this has been around for a while, actually, in Siri and Alexa and Google Translate, but the difference today is how fast this is accelerated. So in the last 24 months, AI went from 100 million data points to over 180 billion. So the rate of acceleration is unlike any other technology. It has just exponentially increased, which is wild. So I ran a human writing agency for 10 years. This is what I did. And I sold it in 2021. I saw GPT on the horizon. And at the time, I didn't actually think that I would be replaced by AI, but I knew it was coming. And so I wanted to be a step ahead. So in the last 10 years, I've been able to grow my writing business. We did almost 6 million in sales, no funding. So I was able to do all this on my own. Very blessed, thankful to have achieved this. We did over 40,000 projects for clients with a very high success rate. We were one of the first to market with an e-commerce platform for content. So it's crazy to come from this and be in a new world where AI is now writing content just as good as me, if not better. It's wild to even be there. So at the time when I sold my writing agency, I didn't think that AI would actually replace human writing. And this is when I said on stage in December 2022. I said, AI is garbage. You need to hire a writer. And I'll tell you, I had 7 speakers behind me. Adrian was there, he saw it. And they were all saying, you need to adapt to AI. AI can write just as good as Julia. And I was called out. But at the time, I didn't think AI was there. I really didn't. So then, a month later, this is me on the same stage saying the robots are good. And here's why I said it. I found the AI technology. So I'm a believer in what works. Like Sharon said, practical. This has to actually make money. This has to work for our business. If not, why adapt? Doesn't make sense. So before this technology, when I said hire a writer, AI is garbage, that it was ChatGPT that I was using for long-form content. You don't get to own the copyright of ChatGPT. There's a lot of superficial content. It's riddled with errors. It's factually inaccurate. I'm like, my client would turn this away. They wouldn't actually pay for this. So whenever I found the technology, and this technology I now work for, content at scale, and I found a writer, it's actually 3 different NLPs. It's a stack of proprietary technology, which is, I believe, the future of AI. Entrepreneurs building the next app. So if that's the future, this really proves it, because this is the technology that I found wrote amazing content. And you actually get to own the copyright too. That was a big concern for me. So I made the fastest pivot I've ever made in my entire career. Went from pretty much against the robots, don't hire AI, it's terrible, don't use AI, to I'm now in a leadership role at the fastest growing AI writer in SEO. So I'm thrilled to be here, and In my own company, we're using AI to save up to 7 hours per blog post. So we're saving tons of time and money. That's why I'm here, because I believe I see it work. So if you're wondering, well, is AI still taboo? Are people going to turn this down if I put it in my services? The truth is they're not. Over 80% of marketers now see this is the future. They believe that AI-generated content is just as good as human-generated content. So for there, it's time to adapt. Chris at Direction.com is here. I love his approach with clients. He runs an SEO company called Direction.com, and he will tell his clients, we're using AI to write the content. And yeah, I think he had a client that actually said, good thing you are. It's good. My agency, before I sold it, we were doing 10 million words a year. I thought that was a lot. At Content at Scale, we're doing 50 million words per month. That's 5 years of content in 1 month. And these are large-scale content campaigns to build traffic. Think 100 pieces a month. So back then, this is what a campaign looked like. You had to hire a lot of writers. And this is what we did for clients. We went and found the writers, we trained them. But it would take over 10, 20 writers to produce 100 pieces per month. So this is what it looks like today. With AI, you only need 1 writer doing 100 pieces of content. And I know this because we're doing it at Content at Scale every day. It's insane. So there are a few elephants in the room around AI in general that I want to address. Hopefully this will shed some light on, is this even something I can do? Can I put this in my process? Will it work for me? So this is a question. You might already know the answer. I know Chris does, Gen probably does, Adrian probably does. Does Google penalize non-human content? This is another big question. Who actually owns the copyright? If you're going to publish it, sell a book, do you own that copyright? This is a question nobody asks. How do I rank in what's coming, which is the AI Google's building? There's an AI coming in Google. Might have seen that. Okay, so we're going to go through those. So the first one, does Google penalize non-human content? So last year, Google completely flipped in April. This is what they said. AI-generated content is actually against our guidelines. Don't do it. They put a block. This was in their guidelines. Then, in October, just a few months later, their search liaison, Danny Sullivan, was on Twitter saying, no, we haven't said AI is bad. We haven't said AI content is bad. You did. We've said pretty clearly content written primarily for search is the problem. So they basically backtracked, and they said, and you can see this in their webmaster guidelines, which changed completely that fall, that spammy AI content is what is wrong. You can't publish content to spam your readers. You need to publish good content. So they took that out, and now today, this is February of 2023, they say high quality content, however it is produced, is rewarded. It doesn't actually matter how you produce it. It'll rise to the top if it's high quality. So that is their point now. And then of course, AI is coming to search. So Google Search Labs, you can get access to SGE. Has anyone played with SGE? I see a few heads nodding, hands up. So with AI coming to search, this is going to change everything. And I've been asked, well, why should we even rank our sites in Google if Google's just going to write the answer with a ChatGPT-like interface? I got some insights on that. We'll share in a couple seconds here. So the approach that we're taking, that I'm teaching at Content at Scale, is what we call AIO. And what this means is the human is now the optimizer. That's their role, not the writer. They're the optimizer of the content. They make that content better. And that human, the role of the human in that content is so needed. I can't tell you how much. I see so much content that would be absolutely terrible if AI just wrote it and we published it. It wouldn't have any meaning, wouldn't have any sense of style. So we lose all that if we just let AI do everything. And that to me is beautiful, because that means that the human is probably more needed than ever when the robots are writing the same old content. So AIO is something I helped come up with. Our team, actually the founder and I both came up with it. And it's a term that's now going around, which is pretty cool. There are writers identifying with this, putting this in their marketing. They're saying, I am now an AIO copywriter, which is really smart, because then you're positioning yourself ahead. Well, if you're using this in your services, talk about it. That's actually a selling point, right? The Capterra study in 2022 showed that most marketers are aware AI is probably better than Julia. It writes better content than me. So if that's true, then we need to put this front and center in our marketing, which is kind of wild to think about. Like, really, we're going to say we do AI? But the truth is, and I see this all the time, if you let that client know, I'm making this content better, and it always goes through the human touch, they actually appreciate that perspective. They appreciate that approach, because you're getting content done so much faster and at a better price. So the second elephant, who owns the copyright? This is a really big question. If you're selling books, if your content brings in sales, leads, this is the question I think you need to ask. So the US Copyright Office actually has a rolling out. Don't know if you know, it's kind of gray, not super helpful. But the ruling says if a work, and it's highlighted there, if a work was created by an AI system, then the copyright is owned by the person who owns the AI system. So it's whoever owns the AI or has exclusive rights to it that actually owns the copyright, not you. So will ChatGPT, this is the question next, will we get the copyright from these AI tools? Can we take this content, can we publish it, can we make books? Can we sell our content? Can we turn it into monetization avenues and not get in trouble later? So if you ask ChatGPT, it's not very clear. It says, you should leave the final decision to the courts. And I just looked at OpenAI's terms of service. Let's see, I did put it in here. I just updated this. Like, I'm not kidding you, 6 hours ago. Because that's how much this changes. So ChatGPT had the same answer 6 hours ago. Keep in mind that you need to check with your local laws and regulations. But then if you dig into the OpenAI terms of service, they actually say now that they assign to you all of the rights to the output. But then in the next paragraph, they flip that back and they say, highlighted in red, if you get the same response as someone else, you don't own that copyright. So, not very helpful. But here's the truth. So here's something we can actually land on. Proprietary technology, and this is where I was going earlier, it's the entrepreneurs building apps with AI that are really going to create something we can use. And that's really cool. I think that's an opportunity for all of us. Whatever we're creating, there's opportunity here. So the proprietary technology that are built on the backs of these LLMs, large language models, ChatGPT, you can actually retain more copyright ownership if the creators of these tools are willing to pass it down to you. So that's something that stood out to me. That's our founder, Justin McGill at Content at Scale. One of the reasons why I joined in January, started adapting to this technology, was in the terms, you actually get to keep the copyright. And that's clear from the get-go. So that to me was a really a positive reason for me to adapt to this, because I write books. I have 8 books out. My content makes money. I don't want to be in court later showing up in a lawsuit because OpenAI didn't like what I said or it was too similar to somebody else. So if you think about that, and that's a question, like I said, no one's asking. I've Googled this. It's not even on forums, because the enticement of just running to ChatGPT and using it to create all of your content is very glitzy. But there's some dangers there you've got to think about. Do you own the copyright? So the third elephant in the room, and this is a big one. Well, if AI is coming to Google, if Google's just going to write the answer, should I even rank? Should my content, is it going to get clicks? Should I do the effort to get found in Google still? And this is a scary question. So Google brings in 80% of the world's online traffic. This hasn't shifted. This is still true. So TikTok, Twitter, all these platforms that are emerging, Google is still the king when it comes to traffic. So on May 10th, Google launched SGE, their search generative experience, and really they're racing to launch AI inside search. That is what is happening. So we'll talk about the opportunity there, but here's why I care about this, because every site I've built, it heavily depends on Google for traffic. So all my sites, grew them to 6 figures per month in revenue and traffic. Those things went hand in hand, traffic and revenue. And we were doing the same thing at Content at Scale. Traffic was 100,000 a month early in the year, in January, and now it's 500,000 people per month. And this is all organic from Google. So we have to ask this question. Are we going to withstand what's coming, which is AI in search? So how do we prepare for this? What's coming? So 2 things. I've studied this. I can't tell you how much. I've lived in the search labs doing hundreds of keyword searches to see for myself how this is going to work, listen to what other SEOs are saying. And first truth is the experience that was sold to us during the I/O keynote where Google unveiled this. It isn't matching up to the actual results. And I think it's just because it's a race, right? Like last year, we saw Google really mess up. They said something and then they backtracked on that whole statement. Here's Microsoft, here's OpenAI launching ChatGPT. It's a huge success. Microsoft Bing takes some market share because ChatGPT is attached. Google's got to catch up. But the SGE is just not matching up. So here's what's happening. Some of the content that's written by SGE, it's superficial, it's duplicate to each other. When you're scrolling, you're seeing the same results multiple times. This is a terrible experience, and Google's going to find out how costly that gets when people bounce and they say, I can just put this in ChatGPT and get better results. But here's the opportunity, and I do believe that Google will get that right because they cannot not afford to. There's just too much at stake, too much ad costs, ad dollars for them not to make sure that this gets right. But here's the good news. Whenever SGE is at a place where it can launch, and it is a good experience for users, so a lot more niche sites will actually be found in Google's AI. And this is true. I've done hundreds of keyword searches, and I see time and time again, it's the niche site landing at the top of Google. And that is really exciting. It's probably the first time, maybe in Google history, where Forbes is going to be pushed down for the niche site. So that's like, let's say you're going to monetize an idea for hamsters. You're going to sell a course on how to raise a pet hamster. And your site is pethamster.com. So you would earn more favor from Google search than Forbes.com talking about the same thing. So that hasn't been true till now. It's usually the big site with lots of DA. So here's an example of what this looks like in search. You can see I've searched the term which Hawaiian island to visit in 2023, and you can see up there in the carousel, those are the results. Was that your timer, Sharon? Are we good on time? We're good on time, okay. No, you're fine. So these are niche sites that are all appearing. These are not big sites with tons of money and funding behind them. These are niche creators. And I've seen this, I can tell you, hundreds of times, which is really, really exciting. So when Google revealed SGE, they confirmed that people want to hear from people. This was actually a big point of their keynote. So when they talked about it, this was a quote that really stuck out to me. People will always value the input of other people, not robots, other people. So when Google said that, I was like, that means we're still going to be able to benefit. So SGE is a jumping off point. It's not an answer to the question. And you can read this in Google's marketing. Again, like SGE is not there yet. There's a lot of duplicate content. It's just not there. So hopefully they get that fixed before they launch it. But what they're saying about it is this is a snapshot, a jumping off point. We want people to explore content from the AI. We don't want AI to be the answer. And that's a really good approach because, again, what did Google say? People want to hear from people. I think that's true for all of us, right? We'd rather hear from people, not the robot. The robot's not going to tell you how deep dish pizza tastes. And if they did, would you trust it? So in the end, we have such an opportunity. So here's just a look at the inconsistency, or rather the duplicate content appearing in search. So you see up here at the top right, the same results are appearing down here, and that is just going to cause users to dislike search. So those are some of the things they have to fix before they can successfully launch it. So that's the consensus. It's not ready for the public. Google's not going to roll it out in a hurry. They're going to get that right. Here's why. They can't screw that up. Because in 2022, their ad revenue was over $200 million, and 58% of that came from search. So they can't get search wrong, in other words. They have too much money at stake to get this wrong. So here's the huge opportunity if we know all that, right? We walk through that. So what is the opportunity in the room that we could come in and grab market share of? So whenever I showed you the earlier screenshot, I didn't tell you that these are some of our clients and users, John and Victoria Derrick, the owners of HawaiiGuide.com. So this is their result. It's here at the top, and then it's also in SGE. So they're actually able to show up with the same site twice in the AI search results. They get a whole feature and right below. So that is opportunity. That hasn't happened. It's usually just that one blue link. So they were able to grow by 30% in traffic, and this was 100% with AI content, and they're using my approach. They're optimizing that content humanly, which is really important. You can't just publish straight from the AI. Then you lose that personal sense of touch and tone, which is really important to actually monetize your content. Again, people are reading this, not the robots. So, and you guys probably already know that. So they're generating entire content with AI, and it's working. We have another user, Troy Erickson at copywriting.org. He did 6 months of content and domain growth in just 1 month. And he was able to, this is crazy to me, having hired writers for 10 years, trained them, he didn't have to hire a single writer. He just had his SEO person run the machine and optimize the content. Pretty crazy. So he actually did this while he was running another business. Barely had to touch it. And this was his domain growth. It shot through the roof. He did over 70 articles in 1 month with AI. And one human was optimizing that content. So here's Chris sitting in the back. I'm going to shout you out. Chris Kirksey, the CEO at direction.com. He's doing SEO, and it's going really well for clients. He had one client, a resort in Costa Rica, completely booked out for over a year. The client actually had to fire him. He can't take clients. So that's the best SEO. So he's adapting. He's using AI in his approach. And like he was telling us earlier, clients are appreciating it. They're like, it was about time, Chris. The AI is that good. So it's time to start using AI. I can't believe I'm saying this. Let me tell you, it's just wild. 10 years, human writers, here we are. Pretty crazy. But here's the question. Well, how is the gold, the good content, how is it going to rank to the top? Is that going to change? How the algorithm actually works? How this content gets found? So here's an interesting speculation that I have. In December of 2022, Google added an extra E to EAT. This extra E stood for experience. The full acronym, it defines page quality rating. This is like Google's Bible. This is how they rank content when you do a Google search and that content floats to the top. This is how EAT, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. So you have to have that in your pages in order to rank at the top of Google. You have to demonstrate EAT, experience, expertise, authority. So whenever Google added that extra E for experience, they talked about people that had a wealth of personal experience and how this was actually going to be a ranking factor. And keep in mind, this is not something that was actually in Google search guidelines until last December. When did ChatGPT come out? So I think they were trying to get ahead of the rush of robotic written content now that hundreds of millions of marketers have their hands on ChatGPT. So this is how Google defined experience. This is content created by people with a wealth of personal experience, because which would you trust? A review from somebody who actually used that product, or a review from someone who has not? You could also say a review from a robot who has not written that content or has not experienced that product. So they might as well have been calling out the robots. So low quality pages, they lack an appropriate level of EAT. They're not going to rank to the top if they don't have this acronym represented in the content, if there is no experience, if there is no expertise, if there is no authority in that person. So Google continues to give us tons of examples. I won't bore you. There's actually a 170-page document on all of this that I may have read half of. But Google gets very clear whenever they define this. So going on to another couple examples here, skydiving. Would you trust an article on skydiving if it was written by somebody that actually didn't do the thing? You probably wouldn't. You would want to know this person did it in order to be able to trust them. So that experience factor is huge. So whenever Google defines high E, they also talk about social media and forum discussions. What are you talking about on social media? Are you representing the same topics? Are you talking about the same thing? That also goes hand in hand with demonstrating experience. And then the highest EAT, the pages that are really going to be at the top, like for example, Hawaii Guide, right? John and Victoria's site that was at the top, not just the blue link, but SGE as well. So what makes that up? This, a uniquely authoritative go-to source for that topic. If you can be that, a uniquely authoritative go-to source, amazing things. You'll rise to the top of Google. And that comes down to a wealth of experience on that topic. So I bet a lot of you already have that, and it's just a matter of demonstrating it, getting it out there, talking about it on your website, social media, forum posts, just getting it out there. So ranking according to E is not going away. We know that demonstrating experience is actually more important than ever, and this is now a critical part of getting to the top. So this is really how to stand out, I believe, in the content, especially if you're using AI, is to put in personal experience, to add that in. So ranking at the top of Google still comes down to the basics. Nothing has changed there. It comes down to content and links. Are you putting out enough content? Are you putting out enough quality content? And are you building links? Are you getting mentioned on other high quality publications? And don't think of it like a backlink campaign. Think of it more like, am I being quoted as an expert in these places I should be in? So a couple steps on how to actually take this and use it. So first, I definitely encourage you to embrace AI. It's not the time to not use it. Even though there's so many questions in the room, how do I actually use this? Can I use it to my benefit? Well, if you can save time and money with AI, it's definitely time to, and we are there. Google is saying high quality content, however it is produced, is rewarded. We don't care how you do it, as long as it's high quality. So that's an open door to go use AI when you create content. And this is the reason to use AI. So there was one company I helped adapt to this AIO approach, where we actually brought their writers on a Zoom call, brought the founder, taught them you need to be the optimizer of the AI machine. Don't have writers just writing content. Be the optimizer. Make this content ready for your clients. And they actually decreased their time and their cost by 25x. It was pretty wild. They were paying $1,800 a month for 10,000 words of content. That writer was not available on the weekends. It was difficult to get done. And then they went from that to paying $1,500 per month for 250,000 words from our AI. And the content at Scale AI is fully original content every time. There's some amazing things about it that make it just as good as the writers they were hiring, which is crazy. The second point is to just double down on scaling your content, get it out. Now that you can use AI to get it done quicker, it's definitely time to get content out consistently. Build your demonstratable experience. And then finding the right keywords. This is another hugely important thing. So I like to use SEMrush, there's Ahrefs, there's Keyword Finder, lots of good tools out there. Pick your tool and research your keywords. So in SEMrush, I'll go to the Keyword Magic tool, the tab on the left, questions, and then that gives me 2,300 questions. Total, all keywords, 2,300. Total volume, that's almost 20,000 searches. And the KD, which is keyword difficulty, is actually pretty low. So that's 2,300 potential content pieces I could answer on the topic of travel to Hawaii. So think about being, right, what did Google say? The authority on that topic. If you can be the first to do that in your niche, you're gonna seriously win. Like you're gonna rise to the top, you're gonna get those SGE placements, and this can be done in so many niches. Like the opportunity is actually pretty great. So loading your content with value, creating content that's not superficial, going very deep. This is long content. When I say long, 3,000 plus words per blog, pretty long, but that's where you need to go. And then video content that supports that topic. Add that to your pages, to your blogs, and then capture that traffic with interactive elements. So that could be as simple as a lead magnet. You have the form embedded in your blog, in your page. That could be a free tool that you build. So here's an example of a page that we have currently ranking for almost 800 keywords, the AI content detector page, contentscale.ai, and you just go there. It's in our title called Content Detector. So it ranks for almost 800 keywords. This is 100% organic traffic, right? We didn't pay for this traffic. We just wrote really good content. We fit that page with all of the right media pieces, video, and then that page eventually ranked at the top of Google. It didn't actually take long either. So this page has a 10-minute YouTube video. We're talking about the topic with expertise, right? So you have a content marketing expert talking about AI detection. So adding that into the page really increases those trust signals. And then it's how-to content. You have FAQs in here, and it's 1,100 words. So you can use this approach for your key pages, the main pages on your domain that you want to rank for some really good keywords. You don't have to do this a ton of times. Like this is just one page, right, that we focus on that's ranking for 800 keywords. And then we're doing blog content. We don't have a ton of pages. So one page is bringing in a ton of traffic. So a couple ways that you can demonstrate EAT. First of all, you just got to be that expert. It's really time to do that because that is how we stand out in this age of a lot of robotic content. Content that doesn't have personal character, sense, doesn't have authority. It's written by the robots. So this is how to stand out. Demonstrate you're the expert. Talk about that deep dish pizza you had and how much you liked it. The robots can't do that. And then stay true to the topics you want to be known for. So if you're writing about cooking, if that's your website, don't go off talking about childcare or some other even more unrelated topic, because those two might connect. I have kids. But make sure you stay true to your topic. Stay on topic. And that's true for social media, that's true for your website, that's true for forums, right? Because all those things count and EAT. Then create content that informs the reader. Address all their questions. Make sure you do that in that page. And you're actually helping to build AI search results when you do that, when you're creating comprehensive content. So checking content before it goes out is critical. You don't want to just publish straight from AI, even though that's what my shirt says. But what that means, straight out of AI, is the quality of writing, which is why I'm here at Constant Scale. I'm not here to make you a pitch, so I'll keep this really brief. But that is the reason our tool is so great, is the quality of writing. I've tried to use ChatGPT for long-form content, SEO blogs, and it would add hours of work because we'd have to correct the content. As a writer that did this for 10 years, it's brutal. I'd have to correct the content. I would have to add links. I'd have to go back, rewrite entire sections because it was superficial. So ChatGPT it's not your animal for long form content. It's great for short form. It's great for ideation. It's great for creative ways to say something, newsletter headlines, but not for long form content. It just doesn't do it. There's a million AI tools out there. So whichever one you pick, make sure you associate with the right goal. That's how to pick these tools. There's a lot that do generalized writing. So think about your goal. What is your goal? Is it to rank in Google? Is it to create a good marketing deck? Well, then find the right AI tool for that, and you'll get so much better results. So content at scale, this is what it's really good at. Generating a 3,000 on average word blog in minutes, and you have everything you need to rank in the top of Google with this piece of content, which is crazy because my writers would take weeks on this same piece of content. I just can't believe we're here. I'm going to sound like a broken record because I said that so much. But this is a framework that I built that's helping a lot of writers adapt to this new frontier. So how do I actually make the content better? This is a framework you can follow. So whenever you have a piece of content generated from AI, these are the steps you need to go through to make sure that content is publish worthy. First, you need to cut the fluff. AI is notorious, adding tons of unnecessary words, jargon, things you just don't need to say in a blog. AI is not that great, and it's going to keep getting better though. This technology, right, went from 100 million data points to over 180 billion in 24 months. So the rate of acceleration here, we're just going to see this get better and better. These problems will get ironed out. So the second one, after you cut the fluff, you edit it, you make it better, is to review, edit, and optimize that content. Then think about adding images, visuals, and media. How can you bring this content to life? Pictures say 1,000 words. So adding those images into your content, critical. And then you want to fact check, right? Another thing AI is notorious for. OpenAI, ChatGPT has been called a very good BSer. It's excellent at not telling the truth. So you really want to fact check your AI content. Don't publish it unless you double check those facts. And then trust building, that comes through your story. What is your story? Adding that into your content. What makes you somebody I can trust? What's the reason I should book a call? What's the reason I should take the next step with you? That is your differentiation point. Put that in your content. When the AI writes it, rewrite that last paragraph. Tell your story. Talk about why they should choose you. And then make sure the links are all there, right? Links to your website, links to your key pages you want people to take the next step on. So contentatScale.ai, you can go there and let's see, that was my last slide. So contentscale.ai, I want to leave you with. Definitely go check it out. If anything, I write a weekly newsletter you can get to from the blog called The Casual, where I talk about AI. And sometimes it's a rant. So it's good stuff though. The contentscale.ai, and of course, I'm Julie McCoy. It was a delight to be here with you guys.